Jai Sri Ram. Sundarakanda. Hanuman heard all of what Jambavan said about his inexhaustible powers. Just then he experienced a newfound vigor and enthusiasm. He was now ready to leap across the sea all the way to Lanka, a distance of 100 yojanas or 800 miles. He had transformed himself into such a colossal size that he reached the top of the Mahendra mountain. He got ready with the blessings of elders and good wishes of peers to undertake the task of finding Sita and bringing her to her beloved husband, Sri Rama. As he pressed his foot firmly on the peak, the whole mountain and land below started shaking, and he was soon high up and moving at wind speed in the direction of Lanka. The whole mountain having been shaken, there was a shower of flowers all over. Even as animals ran helter-skelter and birds flew in panic. Soon, Hanuman who was praying to Indra, the gods and all celestial beings, and with mind full of the thought of Sri Rama, Jai Sri Ram, and his mission to find and save Sita was racing at wind speed at a great distance above the sea. His long shadow that hour fell on the ocean. The ocean was called Sagara, following the digging up of earth by Sagara's sons in search of the horse missing from the sacrificial ground and thereby creating the huge expanse of water. The god of ocean wanted to be of service to Hanuman, and asked the Mainaka mountain to rise and provide a point of halt for Hanuman. The Mainaka mountain was the only one left with wings, as all other flying mountains had been deprived of their wings by Indra to allay the fear of rishis. Mainaka escaped Indra's thunderbolt due to the wind god pushing it under the waters. As a result, Mainaka was waiting to be of service to the son of the wind god, that is Hanuman. However, Hanuman softly touched his peak and politely told Mainaka that he could not rest anywhere, as time was running out for him to accomplish his noble mission and would avail of the courtesy some time later. Going forward, Hanuman came across an ogre of gigantic form with wide open mouth. She was Surasa, the mother of the Nagas, who wanted to test Hanuman and said that she was used to devouring whoever came in front of her, as it was a boon from Brahma. The wise Hanuman started enlarging his size and caused her also to enlarge her mouth. In a split second, Hanuman became tiny. The breadth of a thumb was inside and out of the mouth, and she was satisfied with the glory of Hanuman and wished him success. Now, a little later, it was an ogre Simhika who appeared on Hanuman's path in the sky as he was reaching the other shore. She could change her form at will and had power such that she could tug at Hanuman's huge shadow on the water. Hanuman remembered Sugriva's caution about Simhika, saw her huge wide open mouth, contracted his size, entered her huge belly, tore open her heart with his sharp nails, and rushed out of her body with the same speed as he entered it. Now, growing back to size, Hanuman lost no second in proceeding forward at the maximum speed and soon was close to Lanka, his destination. Landing on the Trikuta mountain in Lanka, on which stood Ravana's city, Hanuman perceived the city of Lanka in all its glory, built by Vishwakarma for Kubera. Hanuman debated in his mind various safe options to search and locate Sita Devi without giving any clue to any of the Rakshasas, that is ogres, and Rakshasi, the ogresses, who are all guarding the city day and night with great vigil. And he came to the conclusion that he must assume the size of an ordinary little simian and go about at night. When he arrived at the gate to the charming city, an ogress showed up before him and identified herself as the guardian of the city. She was Lanka. Questioned by her, Hanuman replied that he just wanted to see the beautiful city and would go back after that. She gave a hard blow to Hanuman, who in turn closed his fist and gave a mighty blow to Lanka with his fist that sent her reeling down. Lanka then recalled what she had heard from Lord Brahma once. That is, when a monkey would give her a deadly blow, then that would mark the beginning of the end of Ravana and the Rakshasas. She wished him all success to Hanuman. Now free to roam about, Hanuman perched on the huge wall surrounding the city, going all over. Though admiring the beauty and grandeur of the edifices that night, Hanuman's mind was on finding Sita. He passed by the quarters of Ravana's kith and kin, including Kumbhakarna, Vibhishana, Indrajit. Hanuman could see the aerial car Pushpaka that Ravana had used to carry away his lord's spouse. Finally, he came to a palace that he thought was of Ravana himself, looking at its golden arches, pillars studded with gems and pearls, flowers, fragrance, and everything else. The palatial palace was fully protected and appeared to be impenetrable and rivaled the abode of Kubera, the god of riches, who was Ravana's half-brother, from whom Ravana had forcibly taken away the Pushpaka. Women were lying on the floor here and there, being intoxicated, and Hanuman could imagine the revelry at night. Finally, he saw Ravana on a couch of golden armrests, best of linen, with his two outstretched arms, in deep slumber, even as the night was about to close. This shows that Ravana, while sleeping, keeps only one head and his two arms, as he has the power to change his form at will. Lord Brahma had on his own given the boon to Dashagriva that he could change his form at will. Chandadas tavarubam cha manasa yat yathepsitam. In another couch of equal description, Ravana's principal consort, Mandodari, was likewise fast asleep. For a split second, seeing so many women folk, the little Simeon wondered if Sita was one of them, but instantaneously dismissed the wrong thought from his mind. After all, Sita Devi must be pining away in sorrow somewhere, and determined to find her, Hanuman moved on. Instinctively, Hanuman's attention fell upon a grove of Ashoka trees, the Ashoka Vana, and spotted one singular golden Simsabha tree intertwined with clusters of creepers with thick foliage surrounded by golden daisies. Soon Hanuman's eyes sighted a temple across it at a distance and saw nearby under the Simsabha tree a woman who appeared sobbing, emaciated and helpless, and who was surrounded by ogresses. Looking closely at her, and whatever ornaments remained on her person after she dropped some for Sri Rama to see and understand, Hanuman understood that, going by Sri Rama's description, the same ornaments were on the person of this woman. And it did not leave any doubt in his discerning mind that he had now seen the one in search of whom he had reached there. Jai Sri Ram. Hanuman had seen Sita Devi, the consort of Sri Rama. A sort of excitement ran through his mind, but he had to be careful on his next step, Hanuman thought to himself. At daybreak, he saw the ruler of Lanka accompanied by a bevy of ladies close in on Sita, who was sitting with bent knees and holding her hands crossed, such that neither her thighs nor her breast would be visible. Hanuman managed to position himself in a bow, unseen by anyone but within earshot distance from Sita. Ravana tried coaxing words and honeyed talk in an attempt to win over Sita, and then boasted of his prowess to which her husband was no match. Ravana added that Rama would never be able to see her again or to enjoy life with her. He laced his talk with the promise of an exalted position for her as his foremost consort, even our principal consort, Mandodari. Sita placed a blade of grass between herself and Ravana in order to avoid direct contact with a man of evil intentions. It was also intended to indicate that Ravana was nothing before Sri Rama. Sita advised Ravana to follow the right path, not to waste time in falling at Rama's feet for pardon and handing her back safely to her husband. Ravana's doom would be certain if he continued to keep her captive in the vain hope of possessing her. Ravana would not be able to stand before Sri Rama and his courageous brother Lakshmana once they strung their bow and fixed their never-failing arrows of unimaginable power. And enraged Ravana said to her that he had no patience to wait indefinitely. Ravana allowed her a time limit of another 2 months out of 12 that he had set since keeping her in the Ashokavana. Shrinu Maithili Madvakyam Masan Dwadashabhamini. To change her mind, failing which he would put an end to her very life for Rama to grieve forever. Ravana commanded the Rakshasis to guard Sita, tried to sweet talk or use coercion to make her comply. After Ravana left, those ogresses one after another started intimidating Sita, trying their best to instill fear in her about Ravana and at the same time trying to coax her with the talk of what a wonderful life Sita could enjoy with Ravana. Right at that time, an aged Rakshasi by name Trijata arrived there. She narrated to those ogresses about her dream from which she had just woken up. Not only no harm could touch Sita, but only the total annihilation of all the ogres. And Sri Rama putting an end to Ravana and happily embracing Sita was what she had just seen in her dream before she wake up at daybreak. Trijata also saw in her dream that Ravana's brother Kumbhakarna and son Meghanada also met their pitiable end, while brother Vibhishana was unaffected and was blessed by Sri Rama. And Trijata gave a sound advice to those ogresses harassing Sita to desist immediately without inviting their death too soon. Jai Sri Ram. When they all left in deep sorrow, not being able to forget Ravana's warning of taking her life if she did not comply to be his consort within 2 months, Sita momentarily gave way for her troubled mind to think of the drastic step of choking her neck with the creeper. She suddenly perceived her left eye throbbing, and many omens that she realized portended auspicious happening to soon visit her. Hanuman had heard every conversation by Ravana, the ogresses, and also perceived wailing Sita breaking a creeper. The sagacious Hanuman racked his brains on various options. Whether to rush back to Sugriva and Sri Rama and announce his finding of Sita, whether to confront all the ogres and ogresses and bring certain death to Ravana himself at his hands, and later giving up such thought as his mission was to find Sita and report to Sri Rama. Hanuman remembered the purpose of Sri Rama handing over to him a signet ring that he was supposed to show to Sita as proof of Sri Rama's emissary. He thought to himself, if he should show up as a monkey or as a Brahmana, but either way, it might only rouse Sita's suspicions of Ravana's tantrums and hasten her decision to put an end to her life. Finally, true to the following hymn in his praise, Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimadam Varishtam Vadarmajam Vanaryudhamukyam Sri Ramadodam Manasa Smarami. The wise Hanuman started the story in sweet words of Sri Rama, such that Sita could hear it clearly, while Hanuman was perched as a little simian on the tree branch above. Raja Dasharado Nama Ratakunjaravajiman Punyashilo Mahakirtir Ikshaguna Mahayasaha Rajashinam Gunashreshta Tabasa Charshibis Samaha Chakravarti Kule Jadaha Purandara Samo Bale. Ahimsa Radishudro Grini Satyaparakramaha Mukyasi Ikshagu Vamshasya Lakshmi Vam Lakshmi Vardhanaha Parthivanjane Yuktaha Prudusrihi Parthivarshabaha Pridhivyam Chaudurandayam Vishrudaha Sogataka Sukhi. Hanuman started off with the great ancestry of Sri Rama. In the line of Ikshagu, there was a highly illustrious and greatly renowned king named Dasharatha, who was given to meritorious deeds and owned excellent chariots, elephants and horses. Born in a line of universal monarchs, he was the foremost of royal sages in point of virtues, wide with years in asceticism, and was a compeer of Indra in might. That jewel among monarchs took delight in harmlessness, was magnanimous, compassionate, and distinguished by unfailing prowess. He enhanced the glory of the distinguished line of Ikshaku, was full of prosperity, adorned with all the bodily marks distinguishing a ruler of the earth, was endowed with a vast splendor and well known all over the earth, bounded by the four seas, and was not only happy himself but brought happiness to others too. And Hanuman continued. His favorite eldest son, whose countenance resembled the full moon, who was skilled in archery and the foremost of all bowmen, was known by the name of Rama. Sri Rama was an upholder of his character, the protector of his people, nay, the protector of the world of living beings, and the defender of righteousness. In deference to the word of his father given to his stepmother, who was aged and true to his promise, the hero Sri Rama, accompanied by his consort and his brother, proceeded in exile to the forest. By him, while in the forest, were slain many gallant ogres, able to change form at will. Having put Sri Rama off the scent in the forest through one disguised as a deer by recourse to conjuring trick, on hearing of the destruction of the Janasthana in the Danta forest, as well as of the death of his half-brothers Khara and Tushana, Sita, left alone, was then borne away in indignation by Ravana. And Hanuman continued. While searching for that godlike and irreproachable lady, Sita, he found in the forest a friend in a monkey named Sugriva. Having made short work of Vali, Sri Rama, capable of conquering hostile cities,